Okay, welcome to the North American Phonograph Company. If you want to learn about how to make Edison cylinder masters and blanks, just smash that like button. So right now we're getting a temperature reading. We're at 155 degrees right at this point. We want to get it up to 170, so we will have to increase the temperature for molding. So we'll try again in a few minutes. Well, we're getting near our target temperature of 170 degrees centigrade, and we were at 167 degrees last I looked, so let's give another temperature check now and see where we're at. It looks like we're almost there. 167.7, 165, 164, what to do, 166. We're in the 160s. We're getting there. 67. When we convect it around, it goes up. Nice color. We're close enough. We're at 165. That should be a good temperature to mold at. That's 165 degrees centigrade, which is not Fahrenheit. The original molding temperature was 333 degrees. Well, 330 degrees Fahrenheit. So we're near that molding temperature. Plus, we actually have a warm mold, which they did not have in the days of cylinders. So I'm going to take the mold out of the oven. Okay, we have a nice warm mold. And as before, we'll get that out of the way. It should take about an hour for this to set in the mold, okay? So we put that, well, I guess we'll have to do it like this. There we go. Good placement. So next we want to put the reservoir on the mold. So we are back at the mold here. We're getting the mold set up to mold the cylinder. The idea is to have it, around 170 degrees centigrade. Somewhere near there is a good point to be. So I'm going to bring this down so that it's in there. Okay. Put our filter on there, which has several layers of bronze gauze to catch particulate matter. So next we are actually going to fill the mold up. While I'm doing that, I'm unplugging the crucible. And this is our third cylinder out of this batch. I'm trying to see where I'm at. I'm not above the knob yet. Oops. It's all right. Okay, we're just about above the knob now. There we go. It's a very good smelling wax, I'll tell you that. Yeah, oh yes, we're just right where we want to be. We're above it. Above the you can see that we're above the knob in the mold. Now we better set our timer for 1 hour. So our timer is over here, and we'll set it for 1 hour. Shut my oven off, because we only have time to mold one cylinder today. Hopefully it comes out as good as the other one we had. Okay, so now this is actually good that it went on there, because we could see that it's doing the scorpion test on its own as it's drying. It's popping off, which is a sign of good wax. So the mold with the wax in it, and then there's our wax. We still have enough for about 2 more cylinders. So this has been a pretty successful batch of wax. Okay, so we got about 6 minutes before we demold this record. And we got a good head of wax on it. And wax is in a putty state, like is stated in the testimony by the Edison people and the Columbia people. Something that is not really talked about among collectors for some odd reason. But seems like they really don't want to have any interest in how the records are made. They just collect the music. They don't actually care about the actual artifact itself, how it was made. They do care about the molding aspect of making commercial records, but not so much about the aspect of making the material, the blank itself. So I bet that this will be darker than our previous molding. We've got about 5 minutes before it actually is pulled. Okay, now we got about 2 minutes before we demold this. So I'm gonna cut this head of wax off. Tell us where we are. You can see it's quite plastic yet. So it should be in good shape. Just push out that plug. It's always fun. See, there's that wax plug. You always like throw out. We'll put this through it. I'm just getting the wax off the bottom here. It's good we have no, it doesn't look like any dendrites or anything in there, so that's good. So, I'm waiting for that 1 minute, and then we can demold it. It's been in the mold for an actual hour this time. I gave the mold a little bit, tiny bit more preheat. We got about 260 degrees, which is about 10 degrees warmer, so that we could actually adjust this. When it's around 165 to 70 degrees, that takes that's centigrade. At that temperature, and it molds. So we're going to demold it just about 5 seconds. You hear the little buzzer go off. We've been patient and actually let it wait for an hour. So gotta right now I gotta put it on the ground so I can grab it with my feet to get it to come off of the base. A little okay. Put it back up here. So brought that up. There's a washer in the bottom. So hopefully we didn't leave it too long. We'll see how it worked today. Okay, so let's see if we can put this inward. So I'm going to just put this a little bit down on the base. Okay. It did just like it did last time. Just like the original record, I guess. That's alright. So now let's see if with this on here we can make it go up a little bit. Okay. We can. We want to get it all the way up to the hole. That clears it out. Let it sit there for a minute to kind of get into that shape. And what's nice is that this is actually the temperature. They really did demold the original Edison cylinders. This is how they did it, according to the OMS sheet of the factory. A collector had the OMS sheet instructions on how to make the cylinders, and because I did it, he took it down. He was a collector over in Germany. So, give him credit. But now, we carefully unscrew the record, and hopefully we have nice spirals. And we do. We got pretty nice spirals this time. Looks pretty much like an original record. As I said, the spirals weren't there to be pretty. They were a practical way of making there be a lot more time to work with the records. Because with a smoothbore, you have seconds to get it off. With this, you have several minutes, about 5 to 10 minutes of leeway time to get the record off the mandrel. Okay, one of the next steps that we have was we set a 10-minute timer for the cylinder to stay on the wooden core to contract, to even out the interior surface so that a mandrel fits more properly inside the record. So this casting went about like our last casting. It went very well. We have a nice spiral core and very nice looking wax. No dendrites or stars or streaks. Okay, so we've let this record stay on the mandrel, and looks pretty good. Okay, so let's get it off of here. Just a couple little things, and there it is. Keeps it from warping, and if we look inside, it looks like an original Edison record. That's just from the mandrel itself, but there we go. Looks good. Smells really good, and so we've created another successful blank, and this is a mandrel of a phonograph, so let's see where it goes on inside. So it fits really good. Doesn't wobble, so it looks like we have a successful casting. That's number 2. So we will see that there is a slight darkening in the wax every time. See, this was our last casting, and notice that this one is darker. So this shows you the same batch every time you use it, that it does become darker with each molding or casting of a record. So in big contrast, this was the very first record out of the casting of this wax batch. So you could see the color difference between the 3 different cylinders from the same exact batch. So I hope you have found this enlightening, and please spread this with friends, and don't forget to smash that like button and tell others about the North American Phonograph Company, the maker of new metallic soap wax cylinders.